Hope everything is going good. Come in the living room, baby. We need to talk about something that people have a hard time doing, which is forgiving. Forgive. Just forgive them. Just forgive them. You hear that all the time. Just forgive them. But let's talk about the forgiveness without the boundaries, okay, my loves? Because, see, nobody ever speaks about forgiving people but applying your boundaries after that. Like, real talk. And so I'm going to be speaking to you out of Ephesians 4:32. And it says, and be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. All right? And so definitely God wants us to forgive. That is mandatory, okay? It's mandatory for you to be able to thrive and elevate in life, and that's what's real. And, forgiving people used to be hard for me, but it's because I was uninformed. It was like, okay, I don't want to forget that person. You hear people say that all the time, I ain't gonna never forget them. But that's just because when you hear people say that, I want you to understand that it's because they don't even understand what forgiveness is or understand what it actually means to forgive somebody and how it's a benefit to your life, okay? So they're ignorant to the fact that forgiveness is everything right now. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna need to forgive everybody at this point. I don't even care. I ain't even that mad type stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's the way that needs to look. And so it becomes easy for you to actually forgive once you understand what forgiveness entails, okay? And so you hear a lot of people saying, oh, just forget them, forget it, move on, heal, just let it go. Yeah, but baby, let me explain something. Yes, forgive them. No, do not forget it. And the reason why I say do not forget it is because you need to have full understanding as to what they did and why it was not okay. That's why I don't want you to forget it. I do want you to heal from it, and I do want you to move on from it, and I do want you to forgive it, but I don't want you to forget it, because if someone has done something to you, you need to understand their position. You need to understand their character and why it is not okay to do something like this to you, okay? And that will now help you to put your boundaries in place on how to actually deal with that particular person for that particular situation, okay? You need to make sure you apply your discernment when you are forgiving people, just so you don't have any reoccurring devastation. And that's just period. It's like, okay, if I forgive you and then I forget about what you did, that opens me up to get my heart broke again. That opens me up to be devastated again. And that is just basically saying that I don't care about myself if I allow you to do that to me, okay? So that's why it's important to forgive but not forget, okay? You can't forgive people that have done the worst of the worst things. I know it sounds crazy. You can't forgive it. They did some, man, they did some stuff that's unspeakable. Like, we don't even want to talk about it type stuff, okay? Not cool. Not cool on no level, okay? The foul is just they're trash at this point. These are manipulators, these are liars, these are people that are, for instance, like what I deal with in my life, people that actually wanted to take my life now. You got to ask yourself, how can I forgive somebody that is actually plotting to take my life? That's unforgivable, right? No, it's not unforgivable. What it is unforgettable, okay? I want you to know this, kings and queens. It is absolutely forgivable, because if a person is plotting to actually take your life, that means that they are some of the most disgusting people on this earth, okay? These people have no values, no morals. They don't have no integrity. These people are the scum of the earth. If you want to take somebody's life as if you are God, you are the scum of the earth, okay? That means that your heart is no longer there. You don't have a heart. Your heart is done. Your heart is black, okay? You're just a walking soulless being at this point. But will I forgive you? Of course. Of course I'm going to forgive you, because you're not important enough for me not to forgive you, okay? If I didn't forgive you, that means that you have some importance in my life, and you're not important to me at all when it comes to you wanting to take my life. Will I forget that you wanted to take my life? Will I trust you again in life? No, never. Never. I will never trust you again. You want to take my life? What is there to trust? You now don't even exist to me. But yeah, I forgive you, absolutely. You're not important. So yeah, I forgive you. God bless you as well, type stuff. And so you got to look at it from that point. You got to look at it from a different vantage point. You're dealing with people that don't actually qualify, if you will, to be held at high regard anymore, okay? And so you don't emotionally attach to that. You actually just, leave them where they at, send the love and blessings, and hope that they change someday, somehow, some way. You know what I'm saying? But you get them back to God. You don't even try to rationalize or even try to even deal with that type of stuff, because you're not there. You're too high for that, okay? And so you give them grace. But you make sure that you set your boundaries, okay? You make sure that you absolutely forgive them, but you never forget what they've done, and the things that they've done are not forgettable, okay? You don't just sweep that up under the rug. Oh, you tried to kill me? You tried to kill me? Let's sit here and laugh together about this. No, you don't do none of that. None of that. What you do is you move on with your life, and you put that as a check mark, and that's the thing that you always remember, okay? If it's necessary, and you learn from it, okay? What's the lesson behind this? The lesson is, I cannot trust this person anymore. This person is not trustworthy, okay? Because this person is reckless, and they don't care about nothing but themselves, okay? Clearly. And they jealous, and they envious, okay? Because usually murder comes behind jealousy and envy, okay? I just want you to understand that. And so you sever the ties with that toxicity. You don't perpetuate the situation. You just you look at it from a perspective of, does it honor God in some type of way? Well, if a person wants to murder you, or if a person wants to slander you, or whatever the thing is that they're doing to you or doing against you, then you can be able to determine if it honors God or not. And that's how you're able to set your boundaries. That's the way that you're able to determine, okay, this is the whole situation right here. This is what they did to me. This wasn't cool. And I'm going to forgive them because they're not important, and they're not going to continue to hold power over me. But one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to forget it, and they can't be around me anymore, and that's what's real, okay? And so if it does not honor God, that's the way you determine what boundaries you need to actually set in that situation, okay, kings and queens? It's easy. Forgive, don't forget, my loves. I'll talk to you soon.